Once upon a time, in a quiet village near a dark, whispering forest, there lived a poor woodcutter with his 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. Their home was humble, their meals were scarce, and their days were filled with the struggles of poverty. The woodcutter's wife, their stepmother, often sighed in frustration, for there was never enough to eat. One evening, as the fire flickered weakly in the hearth, the stepmother turned to the woodcutter with a cruel plan. "We have no choice," she whispered. "If we do not rid ourselves of these children, we will all starve." The woodcutter's heart ached, but his wife's words gnawed at his resolve like a relentless winter wind. Hansel and Gretel, curled up in their small bed, overheard everything. Fear gripped them, but Hansel, ever clever, whispered, "Do not worry, Gretel. I will find a way to bring us back home." That night, as the moonlight streamed through the cracks in the wooden walls, Hansel crept outside. He gathered small, smooth pebbles, filling his pockets with as many as he could carry. At dawn, the stepmother led the children deep into the forest. With each step, Hansel secretly dropped a pebble, leaving a glistening trail behind them. When the sun began to set, their father left them by a great tree, promising to return. But as the night fell, only silence surrounded them. The forest was vast and shadowy, filled with rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls. Yet, as the first rays of sunlight pierced the treetops, Hansel took Gretel's hand and followed the trail of pebbles, shining like tiny stars against the dark earth. Step by step, they found their way home, much to their father's relief. But the stepmother's eyes burned with displeasure. Days passed, and soon hunger crept back into their home. The stepmother devised an even crueler scheme. This time, Hansel had no pebbles to collect. Instead, he crumbled a small piece of bread into his pockets, leaving a trail of crumbs as they ventured once again into the forest. But fate was unkind. As the children sat under a tall oak, waiting for their father's return, they realized their trail had vanished. Birds had feasted upon the crumbs, leaving them utterly lost. Nightfall came, and with it, a deep chill. Clutching each other for warmth, they wandered for days, growing weaker with every step. Their legs ached, their stomachs rumbled, and hope faded like mist in the morning sun. Then, just as despair began to settle, a sweet scent drifted through the air. The children lifted their weary heads to see something extraordinary. A house standing in a clearing. But this was no ordinary house. Its walls were made of gingerbread, its roof dripped with icing, and its windows sparkled like sugar glass. Driven by hunger, Hansel and Gretel rushed forward, breaking off pieces of the delicious walls, savoring the sweet relief. But as they feasted, a voice, soft yet eerie, slithered through the air. "Nibble, nibble, little mice, who is eating my house so nice?" The children froze as an old woman stepped out from the door. Her eyes were small and beady, her nose crooked like an old tree branch, and her smile was far too wide. "Come in, little dears," she cooed. "You must be starving." Though her words were kind, something in her gaze made the air feel heavy. But hunger had stripped them of caution. They stepped inside, where warm bread and milk awaited them. For the first time in days, their bellies were full. But as sleep took them, the old woman's grin stretched even wider. For she was no kind hostess. She was a wicked witch, and she had lured them straight into her trap. Morning came, and with it, a terrible realization. Hansel woke inside a cage, its iron bars cold against his skin. The witch cackled as she prodded him. "Oh, you shall be my feast, little one. But first, we must fatten you up." Gretel, terrified, was forced to serve the old woman, bringing her meals and tending to the fire. Days passed, and each morning, the witch would check Hansel's finger, waiting for him to grow plump. But clever Hansel tricked her. He extended a thin bone instead of his finger, fooling the near-blind witch into thinking he remained scrawny. Frustrated, the witch finally lost patience. "Enough of this," she shrieked. "Plump or not, today I shall feast." She ordered Gretel to stoke the fire, to heat the oven until it roared with flames. But Gretel, though afraid, was quick-witted. As the witch bent to peer inside the oven, Gretel summoned her courage and shoved her with all her might. The witch tumbled forward, and before she could scream, the flames consumed her, leaving nothing but ashes. The house, no longer under her dark magic, seemed to sigh in relief. In a hidden corner, Gretel found a chest overflowing with gold and jewels. She rushed to Hansel, freeing him from the cage. Hand in hand, they ran from the wicked place, following the path of the rising sun, and as if the forest itself wished to help them, the trees parted, revealing the way home. Their father, broken with grief, wept with joy at their return. The wicked stepmother, however, had vanished, never to be seen again. With the treasure they had found, Hansel and Gretel and their father never knew hunger again. And though the forest still whispered its secrets, never again did it lead them astray. And so they lived happily ever after.